Inclusive growth, it's been the byword, the pitch even, to bring all stakeholders in to reap the benefits of the country's high economic growth. It's also the thrust of the 4th Anniversary Forum of Arangkada, Philippines, which organizers say comes with increased and better investments. Now, telling us about the Arangkada Philippines 4th Anniversary Forum, Australian-New Zealand Chamber President Ian Porter and European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines President Michael Royber. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm not going to pretend to understand how commerce and business really all works, but the idea of inclusive growth in the sphere of business and commerce, what exactly are we talking about? It's been the buzzword for a very long time, but in very simple terms, how does the idea sort of work?
Well, the concept is that economic growth will lead to more employment and alleviation of poverty. That economic growth doesn't just affect and impact on the lives, well-being of the rich, the wealthy, but goes down to the middle class and to those people who are deprived of a proper economic and social life because of poverty.
Right.
So we understand inclusive growth to mean growth that impacts positively on the whole community, not just parts of it.
Right, and the great interest of joint foreign chambers in this idea really is what, Michael?
Well, as just mentioned, I mean, we have to, inclusive growth encompasses the entire society. So we have to bring growth also to the rural areas in particular. And in reality, there are some very good opportunities right now for such kind of growth, given the fact that the Philippines is a bit in a sweet spot. You had significant increases in foreign direct investments, going up to $6 billion US dollar in 2014, up from $4 billion US dollar the year before, and much lower investments yet the year before. China is struggling to keep their advantages on cost down. The Philippines is really in a sweet spot to attract investments in areas where it lost out in the past. In addition to that, the European community has just opened the door and has given GSP, General System of Preference status to the Philippines, which allows hundreds of products of the Philippines to be exported tax and duty free to the Philippines, to Europe. I'm sorry.
On that note, I mean, when we talk about the foreign chambers that you represent, we're talking about Australia, New Zealand, from your end as well, and all over Europe.
Well, we are representing all in all about 3,000 members, seven chambers, and the combined members of the foreign chambers have invested approximately $30 billion US dollar here in the Philippines. We are working very, very close with the Philippine government for growth and development.
Just to add to that, I mean, we represent the major businesses, international businesses operating in the Philippines, and the rough figure on the worth as far as trade is concerned is about $200 billion US dollars. So we're an alliance of committed chambers who are working very hard towards making our business in the Philippines more attractive, to promote foreign investment in the Philippines so as to achieve that inclusive growth that we talked about.
Right, and this was sort of put into form by Arangkada.
Yes.
I think, if I understand correctly, about 4 years ago. What was Arangkada all about?
Arangkada started, and with the kind assistance of the U.S. government, we started by putting together focus groups and doing a lot of research, talking to a lot of people, and put together a paper that had recommendations from the international business community to the new administration. So it had over 400 separate recommendations, and we said that the real opportunity for inclusive growth were in 7 areas, and we made recommendations in those 7 areas. And then each year we hold an assessment to see how well the Philippines has gone in the previous year in terms of meeting the expectations from those recommendations. Every year it's been positive. This year will be positive, although, as we said off camera, there's still a lot more that can be done, and there are opportunities coming up. For example, ASEAN integration is a market of some 600 million people, and the Philippines will be right in the middle of that. So in areas like manufacturing, which has increased in the last year, there'll be many more opportunities. So Arangkada is our commitment to the Philippines as to what business sees, international business sees, as what is required to include all the people and alleviate poverty and create jobs in the Philippines. And this year's forum we're concentrating much more on investment, investment for accelerated growth. So this will be our fourth. And we get about 500 to 600 people there. It'll be on Tuesday next week at the Shangri-La. And we've got a lot of very prominent people from government, the President of the Senate, a couple of cabinet secretaries, a lot of business people from think tanks. All of our ambassadors will be there.
Who will benefit most from coming out to attend the forum?
Who will benefit most? Well, I think the participants will first of all benefit a lot by getting significant information as to where we stand, what was done, how did we help to achieve what was our contribution achieving the stellar performance of the Philippines, what can be done to aim even higher, because as just mentioned, we are now at $6 billion investment. Arangkada is asking for $7.5 billion over a decade. We on tourism, which hasn't been mentioned yet. Tourism has been growing, but I think the Secretary of Tourism is aiming at 10 million tourists next year. Now, and there is another thing which we haven't mentioned yet. We need more infrastructure. We need to achieve an investment of 5% of GDP in infrastructure. And looking at the fact that the Philippines is one of the best performers when it comes to indebtedness, external debt to GDP is only at 20%. Malaysia is at 70%. So the money is there to invest in infrastructure and to create infrastructure amongst others for tourism. So a lot everybody has to benefit from Arangkada.
But also, I mean, who do you hope to attract to come to the forum?
Well, in the past we've had people from government, from particular departments who have used Arangkada as a blueprint for a lot of their activities. The Department of Labour and Employment is an example of that. So we have people from Congress as well. Then you have obviously people from the private sector who will benefit, and a lot of people from universities and think tanks. I mean, Arangkada, I'd recommend to your viewers to just do a Google search, and you'll find a host of information. Probably the most comprehensive one-stop shop for getting information on the Philippine economy that I think exists. And it's updated, as I said, on a regular basis. So if anybody who wants to know about doing business in the Philippines or where the Philippine economy is going, this is where you start.
Okay, well, as the name implies, Arangkada, to accelerate, and we want, like you said, we're okay, we're doing good, but we want to sort of step it up. We've got a few more gears to go towards reaching those goals that we've set. What areas or what sectors do you see a lot of potential in, and what areas maybe are not as, how would you say, fruitful as you had hoped?
I'll start with the ones that aren't looking as good, and I'll let Michael be the optimist. Obviously, for us, mining is a big issue. One of the reasons that we advocate a role for responsible mining is that mining occurs in areas where poverty is high, mainly in areas, non-urban areas of the country. Secondly, we've seen with the absence of any new mining, illegal mining taking off, where the Philippine government doesn't get any revenue, the environment suffers, and we've just had reports of very bad labour practices, including employment of children. Responsible mining would stop that from happening. and it could add about 1% of growth to the GDP of the country in a very short space of time. The other one that's not doing so well is agribusiness, for various reasons. Again, for inclusive growth and to ensure that people who live in poverty, particularly in rural areas, can positively benefit from the growth, more attention needs to be paid to agribusiness and agriculture. And the other one I'd say is that although, as Michael said, the Philippines has done relatively well in attracting foreign direct investment, it's from a very low base. And the Philippines really needs to open the economy much more to investment. And that investment would not only include, obviously, mining and agriculture, but we've seen a growth in investment, particularly from the Japanese in manufacturing, which we'd like, obviously, to accelerate, and in those other areas. So one of the things for us is to create a competitive, open environment that would attract foreign investment, which will lead naturally to alleviating unemployment and alleviating poverty.
Well, there you go. Inclusive growth. You want to add to that?
Well, as Ian said already, I mean, the low-hanging fruits are in the areas where we have not been done that well, because there we can do more, there we can make a difference. And as the overall picture is already good, addressing those areas of concern and opportunity will have a big impact. But obviously there are areas where we are doing very well already right now, and one of which is the BPO industry, which has been growing 20% last year alone, and which in the meantime has created an overall $1 million well-paying jobs. And I know that the BPO industry is aiming much higher. They're aiming at 2 million, 3 million jobs, well-paying jobs. And I think they're supported by trends, by IT technology. Nowadays it doesn't matter anymore where you are sitting to do an office job. So I think there is a big market to be exploited. And a little bit going back to manufacturing. Manufacturing is lacking behind a bit. We hope that with the Philippines becoming more competitive, and probably China a little bit less competitive for political and economic reasons, that the Philippines will harvest. And then with a very good performance of PESA, of Mrs. de Lima, I think she will be attracting more investors, probably Japanese investors coming in. So that will drive further growth. So I'm here in the country since 40 years. I'm still very optimistic about the prospects and what can be achieved.
I mean, you're speaking from very direct experience here. I mean, leading the various chambers that you do, that's your sideline, so to speak. You gentlemen, what do you do? What are your real jobs?
Well, I was a country manager for an Australian engineering company, which established itself here about 3 years ago now. Not only in engineering, environmental work, also development assistance work, and that's an example of an Australian company committing to come in here and invest and to work locally, and also to use this as a base for operations elsewhere, which is not exactly a BPO, but the idea of having a low-cost base in here and utilizing the skills and the knowledge of Filipinos to be working in projects across the world is a very exciting one.
Good stuff. 40 years for you, Michael?
40 years, long time. Since the mid-70s, shortly after declaration of what do you call it? Martial law. I'm the group CEO of Royal Cargo Inc. Royal Cargo Inc. is a logistics company, and it is what we say probably the only multinational but Philippine-based logistics companies having offices in many places in the world. So our center, our head office is here in the Philippines. And being in logistics, of course, we are interested in the growth of manufacturing, of exports. It gives us more to do, and it would balance the trade, because Philippines is one of the countries here in Asia which has more imports, because consumer-driven imports and not enough exports. So we need more industry for export, and that will drive our business. That's my interest.
There you go. Well, we both be speaking from very real experience over there. So once again, let's invite everybody to the 4th year of Arangkada. Invest now for inclusive growth. The details are up on screen. There's a website that you can drop by. Facebook and Twitter as well. All the details are on there. I suggest you do not miss this opportunity to hear some great speakers and great discussion on the subject. Thank you so much to Ian Porter, the president of the Australian-New Zealand Chamber, and Michael Roy, the president of the European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.